things. Right and what's wrong. I think that's more time spent, more valuable.
It's less about Marilyn, but more about the hundreds of thousands of young people. What motivates them to? Ozzy Osbourne in the '70s, he was real big. What motivates them to go out and buy a quote-unquote, you know, so-called demon-possessed young man's album?
But, well, you know, more importantly, what possesses him to go out on stage?
No, but see, that's the whole thing. If there were no crowd, if there was no market, you know, he would be out of business. If there weren't people buying his records, making it platinum, and we have to see what's in the psyche of America.
Jordan wants to break in, so to speak.
I want to break in.
Break in.
The drift of this conversation seems to be, at least what I seem to get from you, is a question is Manson and others, are they responsible for the kind of society we have today? And I think that that is absolutely backwards. We have a society today without reference to Manson here, in which it is perfectly permitted, and it happens thousands of times, you know, throughout the year, when they take a viable baby from a mother, all the way except for the top of the head, shove a scissors through the base of its skull and suck out its brains, and you're complaining about him.
I'm not complaining about him.
Also,
I like him.
Think about this. What if you want to blame rock music for things? Think about what the Bible's done. What about Heaven's Gate or Jim Jones or the Ku Klux Klan?
Right.
What they do in the name of Christ.
They totally defy the Bible.
Yeah, but,
the Bible says
well,
if you love God and hate your brother, you're a liar and God is not in you. Obviously, you have not read that.
No, I've read the Bible. I'm just saying what people do in the name of the Bible
is a liar and God isn't in him. So, you know, if we're going to quote the Bible, you complain that people take you out of context. Don't take the Bible out of context.
Oh, but
the majority of people
I'm not taking the Bible out of context.
Let alone do it.
He is not taking the Bible out of context. He is taking Friedrich Nietzsche out of context. That's what he's taking out of context.
But the Bible certainly has been the inspiration for an amazing amount of un-Bible-like activity.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And there's been more un-Bible-like activity. Look at our century. Look at the 20th century. You know, all of the mass murders and killings, more people have been murdered outside of the name of religion than have been in the name of religion in this century. That was just in the New York Times a year ago.
And that's your big claim to fame?
No, it's not. But why does everybody want to put the tag on, you know, oh, the Bible is evil, or we need to question
I'm not saying that. I like the Bible. I'm just saying I don't like the way people misuse it just as much as people could misuse it.
If you like it, then be the standard and do it. That's the problem.
I like it as a book, just like I like the Cat in the Hat.
Say there's something and they're not.
All right.
They say there's something and they're not.
Rita, I'm sorry. Okay, now, turnabout is fair play. We've been talking about Marilyn Manson and his responsibility to society and so forth. Now, you also have a record out. And I have the lyrics to one of your songs, which I think is more irresponsible than anything on one of his records.
Because well, shoot, go ahead.
Yes, it talks about condoms. And it says, like the condoms, we sell them, but we won't tell them. It ain't safe, even if you got them. So you're telling kids it ain't...
That's not what it says.
That's what the lyric says. Don't you know they got holes? It says, don't you know they got holes you can't see? They might stop a baby, but it hardly stops VD.
That's right. That is correct. Condoms were never prevented. That is correct. You need to do your homework. You check the Centers for Disease Control. You check the Centers for Disease Control. When I testified before the Senate in Washington, D.C., as the Surgeon General, when I testified, it was true. Condoms were never designed to prevent people from getting anything except for pregnant. And we encourage people to use them to stop STDs. There are at least over 50 STDs, counting all the different strains that are out there. 20 of them, at least 20 of them, a condom really can't help you with. Condoms don't care.
How can it stop what stops pregnancy without stopping everything else?
Because the HIV virus is about 450 times smaller than a sperm cell.
And
if we
warts.
magnify that,
What about warts?
That's about the size of a football field, would be the size of
So
one
what you're
sperm
telling
cell
horny
and a football
teenagers is the
size
only
of a
thing that you
football.
can do is be abstinent. And condoms don't work. So kids are not going to use condoms because they're going to listen to you and figure, well, why should we even use condoms? And that to me is irresponsible.
No,
No
it's not.
sex
It's
equals
responsible because I'm
violence.
telling them the truth.
No sex
And we haven't
equals
told people
violence?
the
No,
truth.
you're making an irresponsible
Suppression of
the truth.
sex throughout history that's made people so violent. I think.
No, wait a minute.
That is the
because they have-
You're
stupidest
making
thing
the
I've ever heard.
irresponsible...
If you feel guilty, if you're feeling guilty about having
I've
sex,
never known anyone who's
everybody wants to have
who
sex.
got
The world is
pregnant.
created through sex.
The irresponsible
Yes,
assumption
this is true, and God
the
said
one
be
that you
fruitful and
made is that
multiply.
teenage children are going to have sex no matter what. That's not necessarily true at all.
No, it's not.
Oh, Gordon.
It's not. You know what?
I had a lot of teenage companions when I was a teenager.
Really?
And they were not all running around getting laid.
But he was also in prison, so he's got a little different
Yeah.
outlook.
But I wasn't as good looking as
whatever.
you are.
As far as being responsible, I take full responsibility for every word that I speak when I go out and I
Well-
speak to thousands of young people.
Well, this is going...
And on top of that, I'm encouraging them to do something that is
You
good.
certainly know how to speak, Lakita. Let me tell you
Well,
that.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask this.
Yeah. Go.
Let me ask you this. If I don't get laid, can I sue her because of her lyrics?
No, because I don't have anything. I don't have for anything you get. But I would invite you to come out and hang with me and some of my friends sometime.
We can do a show together.
I'd like to.
I'm open-minded. I don't protest Sunday schools or anything.
I would love to have dinner and just shoot the
Okay.
breeze with you.
But aren't you,
All right,
Lakita,
today.
aren't you hoping
And then
that
you can be with Ted Kennedy one night. I'm sorry.
No, aren't you hoping that your CD makes a lot of money, just like Marilyn hopes that he does? Isn't that what it's about?
No, it's not.
Be with Michael
What is it?
No, it's
Kennedy.
not,
Goes
because
with the
I've
younger
turned
women.
down more jobs than I've turned down more jobs than I've ever worked because of I will not expose my body, or I won't use foul language, or I won't spread my legs for just any old Joe that comes around. I have a standard that I live up to. And, you know, I'm very frank, I'm up front. I'm very honest about what I believe.
I hope that you will always be able to live like that.
Well, you know what? I think we should encourage other
I
young
hope you
people
don't
to
have
do that
many
as well.
challenges in life.
I have very many challenges in
Do
life.
you?
Yes, and I would like to come. I'd like for you to come to dinner with me and
No,
learn
I think
what
it's
the challenges are
admirable
that I
to
face.
be, it's very
And you can pick
admirable
up the
to be
tab.
idealistic. You know, but I want people to think, but I'm not trying to think I can save the world. You know, maybe the
You
world doesn't
can't save the
deserve to
world
be
'cause
saved.
you're not Christ.
Maybe they only deserve to be
Oh,
entertained
now, wait
before
a
they're all
second.
destroyed.
You can't judge
couldn't
who's
agree
Christ
more.
and who isn't. He may have more Christ in him than you do. You can't really say that.
You will know a tree.
And that's from Mrs.
You
Brady.
will know a tree.
All right, we got to
by
take a break. We'll be
looking
right
at it.
back.
He had 12 disciples. That could have been his posse, for all we know.
And people
He
were
hung
against
out.
him.
He hung out with hookers.
But
He
being
drank.
like Christ
People
is
were
different
against
than
him.
being
And they
Christ.
killed him.
And they killed him.
But
And
being
that's what-
like Christ is different than being Christ.
No, I'm just
They
saying, have a
killed him because
And I
perspective.
said,
Reform rabbi
you're
in
not
Israel.
Christ.
That's why
Well, just
they
like
killed
you're
him.
not Hitler,
Well, I don't
you're
wanna be
not
Christ.
Genghis Khan, and you're not anyone who's lived and is no longer here on this planet. And so, you know, if we're gonna look at what people said, I
What
didn't
about
say that you
Elvis?
weren't like Christ, but you will know. Definitely not Elvis, because you know you don't swing your hips like he does. But
You
anyway,
haven't seen me.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what I've seen. You'd be surprised at what I've seen.
Mrs. Brady, I think we've made a love connection.
I think it's on.
You know, we're going to the prom together.
Yeah.
So this is what's interesting here, and this is something I've always wanted to ask you, Marilyn.
Okay.
And this one-
Manson.
No, he
Whichever
likes
you
Brian, okay, whatever.
For the ladies.
Whatever. And since we're on national television, I want to ask you,
Okay.
what standards do you have, and where do you draw the line? What is good and what is evil?
I have basic principles that kind of exist in all religions,
Such
even
as?
Christianity.
Such as?
Well, the fundamentals, you know, you don't kill people, you know, a basic good person.
Okay, so
Probably
do you
the
belong,
same as yours.
Do you? No, they're not the same. minister of the, of the Church of Satan.
I'm not a minister of anything.
Okay, because I don't know. Rolling Stone, I've heard that you were into the Church of Satan. I assume that you read the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey.
I read both Bibles.
Okay.
Christian Bible too.
Right. Okay, and we know that the Bible has 10 commandments, not 10 suggestions.
Right.
And there's one commandment in the book of Satan. What is that commandment?
I don't know. I don't preach.
Kill Lakita Gar.
You don't? They would like it.
Principles like
forget.
anybody else
What
would.
people don't see is that when you're a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old and you enunciates what you're feeling, do you remember what you felt like at that age? I do.